You know that feeling when you feel like you're stuck in a loop? Like you keep facing the same kind of problems over and over and over again? Well, today we are going to dig into a really fascinating idea. What if the real root of all these repeating issues in your job, your relationships, even with your money, is actually tied back to your parents in a way you've never, ever thought about?
Okay, let's just jump right in with the core idea from our source material. This one sentence, this is pretty much the key that unlocks everything else we're going to talk about. The idea is that the patterns we see in our adult lives, they're often just echoes from our childhood. So here's how we're going to break this all down. We're going to start by spotting those repeating patterns. Then we'll look at the hidden yin and yang energies that are kind of driving them. After that, we'll trace it all back to the source. And then, and this is the most important part, we'll walk through a real practical way to finally break free.
All right, first up, let's talk about that feeling of being stuck on a treadmill. That weird sense of déjà vu when a brand new problem feels suspiciously familiar.
I mean, really think about it for a second. Is there a theme that keeps popping up in your life? Maybe for you, it's always attracting partners who you feel like you need to fix. Or maybe you always end up with bosses who micromanage everything you do. Or maybe it's that feeling that you do all the heavy lifting and get none of the credit. Listen, these are not just random, unlucky events. They are a pattern.
And here is the crucial point. If you have an issue with a parent, let's say you always felt dominated by them, and you never learned the skills to handle that specific dynamic, your life is going to keep serving you up that same challenge. It'll just be wearing a different mask. This time it's your spouse or your boss, or maybe even a friend.
So how does this whole repetition thing actually work? Well, the source material breaks it down using two really basic energies that are inside all of us, yin and yang.
So you've got yin on one side, that's the nurturing, receiving, more feminine energy. And then you have yang, the action-oriented, driven, masculine energy. And what's so important to get is that everybody, men and women, has a mix of both of these. You can think of them like the basic building blocks of our personalities.
Now, the goal isn't to have more of one than the other, not at all. It's all about balance. The real trouble starts when there's an imbalance, where one energy is constantly being pushed down and the other one is just totally overactive. That's what creates the perfect storm for these repeating life patterns.
And this imbalance, it sets off a totally predictable chain reaction. It's like dominoes falling. So for example, take a man whose masculine or yang energy has been suppressed. He might find himself constantly attracting partners who are super dominant. At his job, he just can't say no, so people walk all over him. He ends up feeling taken for granted, and boom, the cycle just keeps on going, all starting from that one little imbalance.
Okay, so that leads us to the next big question, right? Where in the world does this imbalance even come from in the first place? Well, according to the source, we got to look back at how we grew up. So imagine a young boy who's naturally full of that action-oriented yang energy. But his mother has a very strong, very dominant yang energy herself. Well, she might, without even meaning to, suppress his natural masculinity. He learns pretty early on that to keep things peaceful, he has to dial his own energy way, way down. And then he carries that suppression with him for the rest of his life.
And that is why just quitting your job or ending the relationship almost never fixes the real problem. You're just treating a symptom, not the actual disease. The real hard work is learning the skill you never got to develop in the first place. The skill of handling that original dynamic right at the source.
All right, now we're getting to the most powerful part of this whole thing. Because this isn't about blaming anyone. It's about understanding the mechanics of it so you can finally break free and really start designing your own life.
The source calls this principle complementary emotions. And the idea is actually pretty simple, but it's profound. Your consistent internal emotional state, what you feel most of the time, acts like a magnet. It pulls in people in situations that are a perfect match for it. And this chart just lays it out so clearly. If your internal default emotional state is one of helplessness, you will, without even realizing it, attract people who will dominate you. It's like a magnet. But on the flip side, if your default is gratitude, you're going to attract generosity. Your inner world is literally calling your outer world into existence.
The source material has this perfect analogy for this. Your emotional state is basically a broadcast signal. And if you are broadcasting the frequency of a victim, you're not going to attract saviors, you're going to attract predators. It's just a law of nature.
So here's the big shift in thinking. All that energy we spend trying to change other people, it's wasted. It's completely wasted. The only thing you can truly 100% control is your own internal state. Change that broadcast signal and you will change who and what answers the call.
Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, but how do you actually do it? How do you change your emotional frequency? Well, for this, the source gives us a really powerful tool. It's called platinum standards. Think about it like this. A five-star hotel has certain standards for cleanliness, right? Well, you can do the exact same thing for your life. These are conscious, non-negotiable rules you set about the minimum quality of experience you are willing to accept for yourself, especially when it comes to your emotions. So what does a standard actually look like in practice? Well, here are a few examples. They can be about your physical health, right? Like exercising every day. But the most powerful ones, the ones that really change that emotional frequency we were just talking about, are about your inner world. I mean, look at that third one. I am not allowed to stay in a negative emotion like helplessness for more than 30 minutes. That's not a wish, that's a rule. You are literally defining what is and what is not allowed in your reality.
And really, that's the big takeaway. The quality of your life, your relationships, your health, your career, it isn't decided by luck or by chance. It is a direct reflection of the standards you set, and, more importantly, the standards you're willing to enforce for yourself. So I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. The power to break the cycle isn't out there trying to change the world around you. It's right here, in deciding what you will no longer tolerate inside of you. So what's the one emotional state, the one situation, that you're going to decide is not allowed starting today?